newest episode of Other Duties as Assigned. Today we're going to talk about construction. And we're in the middle of a construction project here at Plainfield High School. It's been ongoing for a couple years now as we've started from a vision of what we needed and what it could look like for our students, and then it's grown out to, I'm sitting in one of the beautiful spaces that we have now, one of our small group study rooms, and we're lucky enough that we have new spaces throughout our building. So I want to talk to you about the process, some of the things, some of my takeaways, maybe give some insight to some of you who might be experiencing construction or might be looking at construction, and if one thing sticks, then it was worth my time. So worth your time, hopefully. When I start thinking about construction, I think the first thing that I would talk about is the planning phase, the start of the project. We as a district, started to look at what we could do to update our high school. 17 years old, what are the things that need to happen to bring our building and our spaces where they need to be as we move forward. A lot of things have happened in 17 years of education, and our school has grown. So it started with a demographic study to determine how big are we going to get? What kind of spaces are we going to need over the course of the next 10 years in terms of just capacity, whether that's the cafeteria, classroom spaces, those kind of things. And so that's where we started. We started going down that road and looking at those possibilities of what that would need to be, and we really dug in there. And then as we spent more time, we started to think of what this could look like. And when we determined that we really didn't need to add capacity, we didn't just need traditional classrooms, but we could use it, the construction project, to really be innovative and to add spaces. And that was really exciting. So our building started, as we started to come down with this project in our brains, and when they built the building 15 years ago, they built the infrastructure to add an additional wing. And so that's kind of where our brains started. We all were kind of thinking, okay, we're going to add a wing, out to the western edge of our building and kind of take advantage of that infrastructure. But what we started to do, as you should with any project, this is a takeaway for me, is we talk to people. We talk to teachers, we talk to parents, we talk to students, we had focus groups where we just started to say, here's what we're thinking. What do you think about that? What's important to you? What kinds of things are we missing? And so that group was really helpful because, one of the things that jumped right out was we don't have enough bathrooms. That wasn't at the front of our mind when we started this project, but it became a key component. And so we used, those talking points, to be real key starters. So we started to talk more. We also thought about, the idea of adding a new wing. If you were just adding classrooms, it would make perfect sense. But because we were looking to add innovative spaces, adding them in a new wing would centralize that innovation to one sector of your building. And so the plan came about to connect some of our wings to create quads. And by doing that, we were able to bring the innovation throughout the building, bring the small group study spaces throughout the building, bring the new large classrooms or new science lab in a place, engineering lab, in a place where everyone can access it. And that was huge. It allowed us to move our engineering and really expand our fine arts spaces and give them some square footage they desperately needed. And so those stakeholder discussions really were key as we came about the plan. As we moved forward, as soon as the project got started, we started having bi-weekly meetings. A takeaway that I would have from those meetings is I would include more people than you think you have to. I think it would have been smart. We didn't do this initially to include our facilities manager in those meetings. Now, a lot of the times the things we're talking about in the meetings may not apply to him, but more people who know, the better. It probably would have made sense to include both of our assistant principals in those meetings because having three of us in there would have given us more perspective, more people who understood what's going on. I don't mind, and our principal doesn't mind being kind of the fount of knowledge when it comes to that. but it would have been good for more people to know. If I had to go back, I would do that differently. I think one of the things you have to remember with the project is things are going to change. And what was drawn on the computer in the original draft of the plans is going to evolve. And so being able to make those changes, to think creatively, to problem solve is part of a construction project. You're going to have to think about what those changes are and how they impact the project. You got to be flexible and thoughtful about teachers and spaces. How are you going to keep doing school in a way that is valuable when you are, in our case, giving up classrooms, giving up spaces? The band is in the LGI room, the choir is in the auditorium, our orchestra is in a classroom right now. We're having to make some concessions. We've had teachers who taught in the hallways. We had teachers who taught in the auditorium lobby. So we had to really make some concessions, but we knew when this project is over in 2 years, we were going to really reap the benefits. And I think that was really important. But you got to be flexible in that way, and you have to have a staff who's been flexible. And our staff has been just amazing when it comes to dealing and kind of going with the punches, and that's been great. I think one thing that I learned through this project was the importance of safety on a project like this. The folks we work with at Garmong, who's doing the construction management piece of this, has done an awesome job of vetting and doing background checks on all the people they bring on site, making sure that they're all properly badged, that they wear the same badges or similar badges to our staff with their pictures on it. That allows us to know who's where. It also allows them to have access to the doors they need to have access to, some of them, and that prevents propping of doors, all of those things. And when you have some safety breaches, you have somebody who props a door open when they shouldn't, you got to hold them accountable, and we've done that, and those are difficult conversations, but important because first and foremost is student safety, and so we've really done a good job of that, holding everybody accountable for making good choices when it comes to safety and putting safety first. I think part of the project is ask questions. If you don't understand something or you don't know why, don't be afraid to ask questions. You're not supposed to be an expert on construction. I'm not an expert on construction, but I ask a lot of questions because the more I understand about the process and what everybody else is doing or what's going on allows me to ask further questions or to at least set us up for success later. And so those are the things, throughout the process, the asking questions, the involving people in the meetings, to being prepared for changes and flexibility. I think those have been really critical pieces, and having a staff who's willing to put up with a little bit of dust and inconvenience for a short period of time to know the great spaces that we're getting. And as we're bringing spaces online over the last 6 months, we've gotten tons of great feedback from our staff. They're very excited about the spaces. Some of them have come online a little bit later than we had hoped, but they've all been really great additions to what we're doing. The last thing I would say is, celebrate your space. Be proud of what you're doing with your construction. We happened to have our district's STEM night here in our building a couple weeks ago, and that allowed us to bring parents and students from throughout the district and give them a tour. And when you think about an open house, what better open house than to include student work, student projects, and your students leading those tours and leading that sharing of your new space. And so that wasn't the intention when we planned that event, but it worked out great, and it was a great opportunity for parents and stakeholders throughout the community to see what's going on. One other little thing that we did that was really good is we utilized our broadcasting classes, and our broadcasting teacher led them and helped them create videos to share our new spaces within our building. When we brought on one of our new collaboration spaces, I asked them to make a 60-second video that just outlines how we use that space. Who can be there? When can they be there? They have to have a pass to be there, all of those things. And so by having them create those videos, it was a great way to push it out to our student body and get them informed about the space and let them know the great spaces that they have here that they can take advantage of. So construction happens. It's been great. If you're lucky enough, I think a lot of people look at construction as a negative because it's a lot of work. It does stress your time, and it does add more things that you have to do on a daily basis. But man, it's been worth it. We've already started to see it with some of the spaces we bring on board, and we're 6 months away from being a wrap and being able to be done with this. And man, I'm excited for that and for our students to get to enjoy these great spaces. They already are, and it's just been wonderful. So that's my thoughts on construction, and good luck, and we'll see you next time.